Okay, so what's going on here? I've got a little model with 6 inputs, and it's a kind of lifetime regular saving model, which incidentally completely free to download, and I suggest that you do because you can work along with what I'm doing. Don't want your details or anything. Have it straight to your PC or whatever you're working on and play around. So what does it do? So we can say, well, what percentage of our wages are we going to save? So let's leave that at 10%. What's our savings growth rate? Well, it might be a little bit lower, 4%. What's our wage inflation? 2%. What age are we? Well, if only I was 25 still, eh? But let's just go 30 for the moment. When am I going to stop work? Well, I don't want to work till I'm 65. I want to stop with 30. What am I on? Well, I don't know. It depends what currency you're working with, but let's just go with 50 for the moment. Right, so if I do that, I'm going to have less than 200 grand. Right, not great. I might want to be a millionaire. Right, what am I going to have to save under that scenario? Anyway, you get the gist. Little model here. These growths are based off of these inputs. Now, when I get something, I might play around with this and say, right, okay, let's do something like 25 there. Oh, let's carry on working until I'm 55, 800 grand. Maybe I can get a few more pay rises. Oh, there we go. Right, 4.5. Yeah, that hits my millionaire status. That's what I want. Want to be a millionaire. Right, those are perfect settings. That's what I want to do. Right, I want to record those. And I want those available on this drop-down list here so that I can select them again. So what this model does is I can now record these, and it takes advantage of a built-in Excel feature called scenarios. So you go to data, what if, scenario manager. And you can see there's my current ones. Now I'm going to add a scenario. What do I call this? Millionaire, right? Let's call it millionaire plan. Right, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, created by for Excel, I don't really need that. Okay, so that's my millionaire plan. That's the settings. Hit OK. Show doesn't really matter. Right, show there. So you could do this. So this is a great little feature. But the key thing is, right, now my millionaire plan's in the drop-down list. How did that happen? Right. I'm going to show you how I've set this up. So, on the developer tab, risk of repeating myself for the 1000th time, don't have a developer tab. In case you've been watching my videos, sorry about this. Right, click on Customize Quick Access Toolbar, More Commands, Customize the ribbon, tick Developer tab, and hit OK. Right, you've got it. Go into Design Mode, insert an ActiveX drop-down box or combo box. And I'm just going to draw one over here at random. Now, while we're using this rather than sort of data validation lists or the other type of drop-down box form control, but the reason is we need to make use of the event-driven processes that run off of this box, which makes it quite useful, because what we need to do is we're going to programmatically populate that list only when it's clicked. And the way that we're going to do that is it's going to go look at all the scenarios that are built into this spreadsheet and add their names to the drop-down list, and then when it's clicked, show that scenario. So it's effectively a little macro that's doing automatically what we just did here. So it's the equivalent of going, right, what if analysis, scenario manager, picking that one, hitting show, hitting close. So it's effectively a program that does that for you whenever you click on this. So that's what we're going to do. Right, now let's just delete that one, and I'll show you how I've set this one up, because I could just point to it quite easily. Right, so that's quite long this, isn't it? But I'll show you a bit at a time. Let's go categorized. Now we can just chuck it down here. We can see it all. Right, so what are our key things here? So simple stuff. I've changed the border color to black, and I've put a border on it, single border on it. Right. The special effect I've changed to flat because that looks better in a worksheet and it gives you more room for your font. And very important, this one actually, the style needs to be a drop-down list, because otherwise anyone can type into that anything they like. And if that scenario doesn't exist, the code's going to throw it out and throw a wobbler, and we don't want to have to put error handling in the code or anything like that. Right, I think that's it for there. Data, not too bad. One thing we just need to do is make sure that we don't have, has it got anything on here? Probably on miscellaneous. Yeah, miscellaneous. This must be empty, list field range, because otherwise it's going to try and populate whatever's in there, and we don't need a linked cell either, but just need to make sure that is blank, because we're going to programmatically fill this list, and that's something I happen to know generates an error if there's anything in that box. The font, incidentally, you tend to have to knock it down one from whatever your standard row font size is, and I don't know why that is. It's just that the way it positions your font in the box tends to cut off things if you set that 11, for example, we cut the bottom of every Y and G and all of this sort of stuff. So okay, so that's about it for that setup. And get rid of that. So if we right click on here and view code, you can see the code that I put into it. Now this is free, download this, copy and paste it in. It will work. Well, it won't work straight away. We need a couple of things we need to do. So I'm going to recreate this code from scratch. So if I move this down off of, let's comment it out. Just do that a second. And then I'm going to insert a bit of space, and I'll show you how you would create it from scratch. So if we go combo box 1, typical, let's put it down there, and drop button click. So let's do that, delete that, put it up there. You can see I put a little reminder for myself saying sure the combo box list mode is set. Right, so this is the click event. What am I going to do? Well, the main thing we need to do is populate this list when it's clicked. Now that would be, and then show the scenario on a change event. In other words, when the combo box changes, show whichever scenario was picked. Nice and simple. Would be great if only it blooming worked. For some strange reason, the way Excel executes this event is when the drop down box is clicked, it drops the list down. Fine. When you pick something, it drops the list up, and that is treated as another click event and runs a macro again. Which means that if in this code you say, oh, change the list to this new list, they click on it, you get the list, looks great, you pick the list, and then all it does is blank it and repopulate it again. And so you never get to actually choose any item from the list. You look like you choose it and then it just goes blank again. So we need this sort of, we need to detect whether the list is coming down, going up. And what I do in order to do that, where is it? Here, right. So little hidden cell under there. It's not hidden, it's just under the combo box. Put it anywhere, but the key thing is give it a name range name. I called it end tag, so just pick on any cell, for example, and just type in here. As long as you click enter, it'll register that name. And that way, if I kind of insert a row up here, for example, this whole thing will still work, assuming I get out of developer mode. It's still going to work. Yeah. Oh, I blanked out the code. That's why it doesn't work. But it would still work if someone introduces an extra row or column or whatever, because we reference the named range of the cell rather than the cell like sort of J6 or whatever it was. Right. So what we can do is every time we run the code, times that by -1. So when we click down, populates the list, code changes to negative, that number changes to -1. Next time the code, so then when the list closes, the code runs again, that tag is -1, so we can make sure that it only populates the list when it's number 1, and it shows scenarios when it's -1. And as long as we're always timesing that number by -1 and no one comes in and deletes it or anything, everything's going to work fine. So let's put that in first. So and the way we do that is we just say range end tags value equals 1, then do that, else we're going to do something else, and if. So that's our basic structure, and then what we're going to do is at the bottom here we're going to say that that equals itself times -1. So that way, so I'll just put list down there as a comment just so that we see what's happening, list up, and then that is change the tag. So that way, as long as we've set our initial condition as 1, when we click down, this code will run, whatever code we put in here will run, and when it goes up it will run, because the value will be -1, it will run that, and then that code, that little statement there will keep flipping it between 1 and -1. Right, job done there. So what are we going to do when the list comes down? We're going to populate it with all the scenarios that are built into the spreadsheet. How are we going to do that? Well, I'm going to just cheat a second and copy the code from here. And then unpopulate, untick it, sorry. So let's do that and Right, so we're going to clear the current list. Combo box 1 dot clear. And obviously it's combo box 1 because it's called combo box 1. Whatever you call it, doesn't matter as long as it's that dot clear. How do you find out what it's called? Design mode, click on there, right click, properties. If you go alphabetical, it's the first thing, the name. Yeah, combo box 1. Right. So we clear it. Then what do we do? Right, this is the magic. We're going to search through all the scenarios on the active sheet. So we do that by creating a little for next loop. So for each, I've called it O scenario, it doesn't matter what you call it, you can call it X if you like. Any variable name. So for each scenario in the active sheet scenario, add the name of it to the combo box. Right, now bear in mind we've just cleared the combo box, so if we didn't clear the combo box, this combo box would just get longer and longer and longer every time we clicked on it. So that's all that does. Right, so that's fantastic. So we now have our list. Right, so the list is now, so that's what happens when you click down. What happens when you click back up? Well, we need to show our scenario. So again, let's just, well, the main code is this. Let's just put that in a second here. Right. So we're going to say when the list goes up, show the scenario. So active sheet.scenario, the scenario name, which is just whatever value is now in the combo box, .show. Now, if I was to run that, there's a possible way we could get an error. Now I'll show you what it is. So this is, that's 20%, 15%. You can see it's working. Millionaire plan. It'll go definitely. Right, so that's all great. But what if I say, actually, I don't want to choose anything? Ooh, error. I debug on that. You can see it's because the value in the combo box is nothing, and it's trying to show a scenario with no name. It's not going to be able to do it. So we just need to trap that error, and let's just end it. God dear me, right. And the way we do that is we just detect, just put on here, if that is not equal to nothing, then do it, then show it. and by default, because if it is equal to nothing, it won't do anything apart from change that tag. So that'll work. That's our little macro. As it happens, because this is the only thing, it wouldn't really matter if that was run every time anyway. I think that's what I've done on the original code actually, but yeah. So this will now mean that right now, after you get, you said, why is that wrong? The reason is because our initial tag there is -1, so it's doing the exact opposite of what we want. So that can happen when you crash out of VBA code. You can get some of these initial settings wrong. So let's reset that to 1, and now we're on our, let's go for a 10% growth rate. Yeah, you can see that's working. Millionaire plan, yeah, that's working. So let's think about adding another scenario now, check it's all working. So what about if we say, well, let's say, no, we might be able to go to 5% wage inflation. Could stop working at, could we stop working at 53? Not quite. 54, what if? Yeah, so that's our revised millionaire plan. I want to stop working at 50 though, so let's say 28%, 30%. Not quite working here, 32. Just trying to get to something that's going to get, right, that's as near as damn it, 1 million, isn't it? Right. So I'm going to say, save that as a new scenario. What if scenario manager, add it, just call it new millionaire, new million plan. Right. Create it, hit OK, close. Key thing is, does it appear in the drop down? Yes. So there you have it. That's how you go about changing multiple entries at once using a drop down. So effectively, we're using the shortcut of the scenario manager in Excel to do it. Hope that was useful. Download the spreadsheet and look at the code. Just a quick warning that one thing in the code, if you've got a model, which you probably have, that's spanning lots of different sheets, it's worth just before the combo box code putting the sheet name. So for example, you just put sheet 1 dot combo box, and that way, and every time you that way, if you've got another combo box on another sheet called combo box 1, you could say, it's just going to avoid a bit of confusion. So a little bit of best practice there. But other than that, it's going to work fine on multi-sheet models, incredibly complex. You can have numerous items in these scenarios. You can have it changing cells all over the place, but they do rely on all your inputs being on the same sheet. So if they're not currently on the same sheet, either move them to the same sheet or have them linking back to something on a single sheet. All right, hope that's helpful. If you want to know much more about drop-down boxes and how you can do really clever stuff with them, I've got loads of videos out on this now, so check those out. Should be links in the description. I think it's probably playlist by now set up as well. Have a look round up for Excel, and I'll see you soon.